Good morning, everybody. I am Jules the Thought. Today is April the 13th, 2023, and we are less than 24 hours away from Friday. It's a great day. All right. Now then, all that foolishness aside, I have a little bit of a different perspective on, or let's say hypothesis, related to Dylan Mortensen, connected to eyewitness to Bryan Kohberger leaving the home of the Idaho Four. I just want to go through a couple of these. Police. Teen gives birth, hides baby under a sink. How about this one? Teen unexpectedly gives birth in a bathroom. That was a 17-year-old. How about this one? Australian model says she did not even know that she was pregnant. Here's one. Michigan mom was pregnant and didn't know it. She gave birth to twins. Mom delivers baby in a bathtub. Another 15-year-old. This one's a little bit different. That's different. Cryptic pregnancies. I didn't know I was having a baby. I never even had sex. Okay, let's put this in perspective. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about a young woman's need to maintain an identity. That as we go through childhood, we go through our tweensies, and then we go into teen, we get all these messages, right? And maybe this isn't as prevalent as it was even 10, 15 years ago, but for sure, I think there's still families where this dynamic remains, and that is that your virginity, gets you closer to God, right? Now, I know this whole Virgin Mary icon, this is not this, not, it isn't like it is now, like it was 20, 30 years ago. But I think that, like I said, in some communities, in some cultures, that type of idea remains, that young girls don't have sex, or unmarried women don't have sex or shouldn't have sex, or women that are having sex, they get, unpleasant labels attached to them. Now, most of us recognize it's 2023. We recognize there's a healthcare issue connected to, should I say, multiple sex partners. So it does, we should educate our young people of our society so that they know how to keep themselves safe and healthy. But you can't really say, no, young people don't have sex drives. That's just not true. And we know that's not true. And so we should give them the knowledge to keep themselves healthy and safe. As a psychologist, I'm concerned also about the emotional attachment that can come from sex, just from the release of oxytocin. It's called the bonding chemical. And, if you have sex with someone, you can find yourself probably in the middle of that whole love bug thing where you believe you're in love, but really you're just under the influence of a natural chemistry, a chemical in your brain. But nevertheless, all that aside, I want you to stop for just a minute and rethink the problem of Dylan Mortensen. You guys have bit the discourse on Dylan. Didn't she? Is she lying? Is she telling the truth? Was she involved in the attacks? Was she not involved in the attacks? Why was her life spared? Was she friends with Bryan Kohberger? mean, there's all kinds of discussions happening, on the streets of YouTube related to Dylan. I cannot imagine being this young woman and being such she's almost become like a cultural icon at this point, right? So some people act fiercely to protect her, and others just kind of want to throw her to the wolves and say you totally were involved. So it is quite something to watch. But I there's something else happening here, y'all, that could be a real possibility. And I started out this little discourse by reading through just some Google releases of young people, or even older, even married women, who are going to stomp their foot and say, I didn't know. I didn't know that I was pregnant. I'm sorry. And the husband is standing there going, I had a vasectomy 10 years ago. So what's going on here, lady? You see what I mean? People have a real vested interest in defending their private activity. I know this is going to be a shock to you men out there. There are women that continue to date other men, even though they're married and they're mommies and they have children. That does happen. And you can name it whatever you want to name it. But, if people have certain needs for love and companionship, and to see themselves reflected positively in the eyes of another person. And if you're married to someone who is tearing down your self-esteem, who is treating you unkindly, you might very well turn to someone who is being nice to you and is treating you well. So, men really can't get caught having sex other than seeing it or getting the DNA test of the offspring. Other than that, you just kind of, it's all circumstantial evidence, correct? Women, though, have situations of direct evidence. And that is, your husband goes, wow, you look like you used to look when we had our 3 kids, but that's not possible because I've had a vasectomy. And sometimes these women will be in complete denial, and they'll say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this isn't happening to me. No. I can't get an abortion. I don't believe in it, but I'm a 50-year-old mother of 3 teenagers in college. How is this going to happen? My husband's had a vasectomy. The whole world is going to know what I've been doing, right? Same thing with young women. They see themselves as a reflection in their parents' eyes, and if they have been loved and protected and valued in a kind of I don't know how I want to say it. If their parents have looked at them as a perfection, you're the perfect version of the young female co-ed going out to get educated, make her mark in the world. And there's not this conversation about sexual activity and protecting yourself. If you've been raised in a home where, you save yourself for marriage and you don't mess around and you don't do those things, then the idea of being a young virgin can be a part of the parent-child relationship. I'm trying to be really respectful and careful here, because this is a real thing. Even in 2023, there are families that continue to have this view of their girls as purity, rather than a very realistic equalitarian type of view of, yeah, you're a young adult, those things are going to happen. Let's make sure you're safe. These are the things you need to do to be safe. And, I've talked to people before that would say, the most embarrassing moment of their lives, I'm talking about like a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, the most embarrassing moment of their life was, watching a movie with their mom and dad in the room and there's a sex scene. And they just like, oh my God, what do I do? What should I do when the sex scene comes on and my mom and my dad are sitting there, right? Y'all have heard all this, okay? That's a movie. That's the depiction of someone else having sex. And yet these young women are just mortified to be in the room with the parents, okay? Now I want you to think about this. What if Dylan was with a boy? What if she was with a boy? What if she wasn't even at home? She's not home. She's gone out. They've had a big party, big night out like college kids do. And whether she's with her boyfriend or whether she goes home with some guy she met at a party, at a bar. Don't give me your holier than thou stuff. Let's just speak reality, okay? We're all human beings here. So she goes home and they do what young people do. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big damn deal. Becomes a big deal if you don't protect yourself from disease and pregnancy and things like that. But kids have been doing this for an eternity. Has anyone watched Blue Lagoon but me? Okay, Brooke Shields, right? What if she's not home, y'all? She goes home with someone else. She does the whole wild and crazy Saturday night, at the bar, at the fraternity or whatever. And then she wakes up, and what do you do when you wake up? You're hungover. You probably get in the car, get you a Coke or a Sprite, maybe go get a hamburger, go get something to eat, and then you go home. About noon, right? That's it. So then she walks in. Maybe she walks in the downstairs, and Bethany's there. She and Bethany stop like, "Oh my girl, where? Who did you go home with last night? Oh my God, oh my God, oh it was so great. Oh my God, right? Normal, regular, relaxed, fun." And then she goes upstairs, takes a shower, lay down, sleep the afternoon away. And when she heads upstairs, that's when it all comes out. She sees it. And she turns around and she runs out screaming. Bethany hears all the screaming and goes after her, leaving the door wide open. And then it all starts. They call their friends because that's what young people do. Why are they going to call 911? If she walked in and saw this, freaked the hell out, turns around, runs out. They're out in the parking area and the gravel and the rocks. One of them down on their knees, wrenching and sick and freaked out. And the other one going, what is going on? And she calls her friend and says, man, I need help. Like, Dylan is freaking out. I don't know what's happening here. That's it. And you think, but wait a minute. Why is she lying? Why is she saying, oh, I heard crying? That's the third time I opened the door. Or was it the third story, the third version of different stories? Is this some kind of nightmare moment for Dylan, stomping her foot and saying, I'm not pregnant? Do you think this young woman is going to want to open up to her mom and dad and say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I got drunk. I went and had sex with someone I don't know, Mom. Sorry, I'm a bad person. I'm not the vision of virginity that you believe I am. I was with someone else all night. And I walked in the door and I saw it and I don't know what happened. She can't do that, can she? So these iterations of story, as more is leaked out, about what happened, she reveals a little bit more. She reveals a little bit more. I heard the third time I opened the door, I heard crying. Oh, well, that's very interesting, Dylan, because a camera 50 feet away from Xana's bedroom also heard crying. Is that when you began to hear crying? After someone told you, hey, we got a video and we can hear crying on it? So that gets woven into her story. So I don't know, there's no, let me be clear about this. There's no chance, there's no likelihood that my thoughts are more accurate or closer to the truth than anybody else's story. What I'm saying is that we can all take a set of circumstances and we can weave it into what looks to be a plausible explanation that is based on your knowledge and history. So if you're the kind of person that you've been confronted with these girls who will be standing there 7 months pregnant, looking at their parents in the face saying, I'm not pregnant. And the mom is going, of course you're pregnant. Look down. No, I'm not pregnant. I've been eating a lot. I'm going to go on a diet. I promise. You're pregnant. We got to take you to the doctor. No, I'm not going to the doctor. This does happen, y'all. So I don't think we're ever going to get to any level of confidence regarding what it is that Dylan did or didn't do. I think the only thing that you're going to be able to do is just listen to her story and then figure out, does it match with what I know? Is it logical? In that case, if you think yes, then you can believe what she says. And if you think no, it's illogical, it doesn't match with what I know about the world, then you have to make a choice. Okay, well, I can't listen to her testimony then. I just have to look at all the other stuff and disregard her part. I did this with the Chris Watts case. Things got so weird and crazy with the books, these authors that got involved, and Cindy Watts in them coming. Cindy Watts told 4 different versions of the Nutgate day. She told 4 different versions. When she's talking to Mark, Chris's best friend, she's talking about chocolate. Didn't even have anything to do with chocolate, but Mark thought it was chocolate. So I think it's a far cry to say Dylan is a murderer. And I think that's not likely at all, unless you're talking about some kind of weird Hollywood version of reality. I just don't think she's a young girl. She just left her parents' home, moving to a college. I had the thought maybe she got involved with Bryan Kohberger. She's tall. He's very tall. It's kind of hard for these really tall girls to find people they feel comfortable with physically. Is that possible? Maybe she went out on one date with him. Maybe, something. But there's a million what ifs. There's a million versions, taking a few facts and weaving it into some sort of potential narrative or logical narrative. And we just need to be careful. We need to be really, really careful. I do rather like Harsh Reality's view of this. A lot of people are mad at him, but I think he's right. I think you either have to listen to all of her story or none of her story. And there are reasons out there that one might think, okay, maybe her story is not credible, but it's not credible because of her own need to hide her reality from her parents, as opposed to it's not credible because she's an accomplice to murder. You see what I mean? It could be that she's not really telling the truth, but it had not have anything to do with the kids that got murdered. All right. So I just thought I would just throw another wrench into this conversation. But y'all know it. We mothers, once you get older and you look back on life and you think about the friends that you had and your own experiences, and sometimes girls are heavily invested in maintaining this appearance of virginity. Maybe not to everybody else, but to their parents, right? Or to their grandparents. And that would, if that is what's at stake here, if that's what's driving Dylan, then it would explain why she would lie, but still be uninvolved in terms of the damage to the other kids. Who you are is where you were when. Absolutely, Bling. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I live in a community with 2 religious groups that have extreme views on premarital sex. One so extreme, you are meant to marry your first love, which is more like a first crush. Absolutely, Scatanona. Yep. Some of the girls my kids are friends with were expected to stay together with boys they went out with in junior high. Wow. Yeah, Scatanona. And how many people have stayed in abusive relationships because the stigma of divorce was so powerful in their community. So people are driven when it comes to sex. People get weird sometimes. Not everyone. Some people are very relaxed. They look at it in a healthy, natural way, and they have a good relationship with the idea of being a sexual creature, but still being responsible. And, but there are people that they are invested in this idea of being pure. I'm talking about in the eyes of their parents, being pure and following all the rules and doing it all the right way. They would be mortified if the parents knew what they were really doing. Right? Hey, Sky's World, how are you doing? Good to see you. The other religion lets the girls do everything else. Yeah. You are expected to marry in your early 20s. Ugh. Oh, gosh. Yeah. All right. So that is my little opinionated moment on Dylan. I've really not been in this conversation. I've really been hands off where Dylan and Bethany are concerned. It's for one thing. Here's another issue to consider too, as you listen to some of these conversations and stories about Dylan and Bethany. Do you really believe that these 2 young women have had the experiences to be sophisticated conspiratorial killers at their age? You look at the neighborhoods where they grew up, they don't have the background. Like Bling said, you are who you were when. These are not street smart girls. These are not girls that grew up, in survival mode. They were heavily protected and valued and, kept safe from the world. They haven't had time to develop to these sinister, highly sophisticated killers. It's just not, they just don't have the background to do that. They really don't. Now, they could have been manipulated, of course, but I don't know. You just look at her story. There's other explanations for how she would have said that. Well, you didn't hear crying. How's it possible, Dylan? You didn't hear crying. We've got a camera 50 feet away that picked up crying. It's recorded. We can hear it. But you're in the same house. You didn't hear it. No, I did hear it. I did. I just left that out. That's why I opened the door. See how that goes? So we need, I just keep saying, not that I think, okay, so the screen was off the window, right, of Dylan's room. Well, that still doesn't take away from the fact that maybe she wasn't home at all. Maybe Bryan Kohberger did test the doors and windows and got in through the window. But if she's not there, if she's with a boy, no harm, no foul. He just goes to the window and does what he does, runs out of the back double doors. Read my first post. A trollop, Andy. You said wild speculation Thursday. Yeah, that was your first. Oh, no. Well, she lied about being in the first floor. She didn't call 911 right away when she saw a masked man. She was in the bedroom on the second floor with the screen off. Well, I know, but what I'm saying accounts for all of that, right? Thank you, Sky. Okay, so it's just another, I don't think we know what her phone did. Nobody has released her phone information, have they? I haven't seen phone information. How do you know that her phone says she was home? Big ups. Hey, Elizabeth Gregory. Big ups. How do you know about her phone? How do you know about her phone? That information hasn't been released as far as I know. All right. Okay, so that's just a little morsel to consider as you kind of go through all of this Kohberger drama. I know that it was reported, big ups. I know that. Where did they say there was a forensic phone investigation? And right now, I'm grappling with this idea because Kohberger hasn't really been something that I've been really deep diving in. I still the Lori Vallow case, but excuse me, Lori Vallow, but Barry Morphew remains like really. I think it's a travesty that Suzanne was disregarded, and so I can't tear myself away from that. But I'm playing with the idea of just because Barry Morphew is on camera in the Holiday Inn doesn't mean that he was in his truck as it was running around Men's Warehouse and McDonald's. And if his truck wasn't with him with his phone, then was someone else involved? Was someone there helping him? So it is very easy to have your phone in one location and your car or yourself, your body, in another location, right? they took the two Jacks off. Oh, Jack. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Showalter and okay. All right, people. I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth in. Because that stays with me. I just keep thinking her story is unlikely. The story she's told, it's hard to believe, right? I get that. It's hard. It's very difficult to believe her story, but it doesn't necessarily mean that she was involved, that she was, culpable. I think there could be some other things involved. But again, this is my version of wild speculation Friday on Thursday. Y'all have a great day.